I didn't reject anything. There was no wrong thing. There's only things that made me feel wonderful and things that made me feel not that wonderful. And whatever the things that made me feel wonderful were, I thought about why, and then I sought after these things, and I tried to understand, if there's a moment in a song that makes the goosebumps come on your arm, it's like, well, why the goosebumps? Something's going on here, some science about which I'm unaware. And so I really dialed in on the emotional reasons why, like what are my triggers, and I find certain things, like for example this note, if you're F sharp minor and you're that's like the heartwarming note, right? It's just so heartwarming. Yeah, so you're the colour, you're the sort of colourful bit in the chord. That's the 11th, by the way. And so I followed these sounds, and after a while I had a mind full of colours, and then all I had to do was make some emotional decisions about what to do with them all. Because after all, colours don't mean anything until you tell some stories or something. So when I sat down to make this album called In My Room, which is the album I made last year, in some ways I kind of discarded the things that I'd been thinking about learning and just tried to write some songs, because knowledge is better when it's peripheral, it's better when it's not direct. Gestures are better when they're clear, if that makes any sense. So if you have knowledge in your periphery and gestures in your forefront, in your clarity, then the sort of inevitability of your emotional knowledge, in my experience, kind of tends to tumble out as long as the priority is in the right place and you've gathered enough colours and thought emotionally about why they make you feel different ways. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
I think it's a really important thing to bear in mind, because having knowledge in the centre of your vision is not a good way to write music. Just because, for me, I think that sometimes if knowledge ends up like barking at your left brain, then you can begin to want to prove things by writing music with it. Like, oh, I know a lot of knowledge, here it all is. And that's tricky. It's tricky to write music that moves people with this in mind. So it's important to find that marriage between the very complex and the very emotional. And I think for me it's always been more about the emotion. And so all of this knowledge that I've gathered, and I have gathered it very happily and readily, that is serving a rather emotional purpose, I think. And I'd encourage you to, if you can, just to think about doing the same, because it doesn't actually matter how much you know of a language. It doesn't make any difference at all. The only thing that matters is the choices you make with the language that you know, which is sometimes why children say some of the most profound things, because they sort of say, like there's this thing a child says, it's like, do blue butterflies eat the sky? Or something. It's like, do blue butterflies eat part of the sky? It's very lovely thing to say. And adults might not necessarily think about that, but with a fairly rudimentary understanding of language, but a very open periphery, it's like that makes sense. And I always took my imagination very, very seriously as a child, and something I saw in my mind was as real as something I'd see in the real world. And so I think that was a rather important thing to come into realising, is that things in your imagination are probably some of the most vivid things you'll ever find. So it's worth going and examining them. You can. I have a fascinating rhythm here for you.